Good day to you, partner. I'm Guy, and I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken camp.
Hey guys, Weed Solo here, aka the Skeleton King. So we have a near sub 6 tombs with just honestly insane rolls. As in, there's really not a bad mod. I guess the worst mod would be add lightning damage because I believe there would be the lightning mages and the scarabs, and just adding flat, mastery to any enemy in this game is kind of scary. But the attack rating, that's actually pretty bad too. But we don't really know if it actually buffs how it affects their attack rating. I think it actually doesn't affect them quite as much as we thought originally, but I'm pretty sure it's worse than minus player defense. For anyone wondering, minus player defense actually affects your total defense value. Actually, sorry, I'm saying that wrong. It's like minusing 10% from all of the percents on your total defense value. So if it's minus 20%, you get minus 20% of your flat defense value. I think I said that atrociously every single time, but at the end you might have understood that. So it really isn't a big deal. So for instance, if you have like 2,000 defense, but like 5,000 with Defiance, you're only going to be losing 400 defense. So it's actually almost a marginal mod. So we got great mods. We got Corpse Explosion, which is a very good mapping build. It has to be at least top 5 this game. And if we're talking about tier 3 only, I think Necromancer might be top 3 in tier 3. As in Poison Nova, DP, Corpse Explosion. Now I think DP will be faster than Corpse Explosion. I believe Corpse Explosion was I don't know if we ever decided on it. Basically, when Corpse Explosion was really good, we didn't spend a lot of time on Dark Pact. And, basically the destruction of Corpse Explosion kind of aligned with the reincarnation of Dark Pact into what it is today. But I'm going to go with Dark Pact being faster, but this is not optimal play. As you saw early on, I think he was a little rusty. That happens to me sometimes too, where I kind of got to warm up. There were many times where I don't think he chained corpses enough. And then also times where, there weren't corpses and he was trying to cast CE. And trust me, I've played Corpse Explosion. And, you get frustrated when you cast Desecrate too much, and you get frustrated when you don't cast it enough. And it's like, you pick your poison. And then sometimes you end up picking both poisons. He's actually picking up drops, as you can see, and still almost hit sub 6 in a 250 density Tomb. Now, by the way, Tomb is probably the best map for Corpse Explosion to run in Tier 3. It would either be that or, I forget the name of it, the really big snow map. I don't know why. Oh, the Canyon of Secheron. There you go. The only problem with Canyon of Secheron is it has Oblivion Knights, and they're very, very obnoxious, and then Doom Knights are pretty tanky as well. But besides that, it's another really, really good map for the fire element, although, Decrepify is just one of the most annoying things in this game, and it should probably just be removed, because it's so stupid. Fuzzy's also pretty good when it comes to routing. And of course he's going to be using Uduars. There's just no reason to use anything else. Now at this point in the game, the Uduars aren't having much of an impact. I do believe he could play a little more aggressively than he is. And I'm not a fan of the Blood Golems, but I'm not sure what he should do with those skill points. Now, of course, he's hitting 125 SCR, and if you play this build, please drop damage to increase your faster cast rate. Now, someone in Necro Chat was actually running this build at the 48 FCR breakpoint. Now, this is quite extreme. If you move up 2 FCR breakpoints, it's a more than 20% DPS increase because you go from 11 to 9 frames. Or, figuring out how much is 2 into 9, it's like 23%, maybe 22%, somewhere in between there. Exactly. So, yeah, good job picking that up, Fuzzy. So he probably could have sub-6 this. I didn't show him getting the revives and stuff. Honestly, if you're just getting Uduars, it probably adds, if you're not playing fast, like I don't think he was trying to rush making this game, it'll probably add 20 seconds to every game, maybe 30 seconds. And Fuzzy's actually kind of a fan of actually doing a map from game creation, and I'm sure we're going to do that at some point, and I think you guys will be very impressed because he is a good player. I mean, for not being the Skeleton King, of course. What would I do with the Blood Golems if I did try to make Corpse Explosion again? You know, I don't know. So it's kind of like it is what it is. Maybe get Blood Warp a little lower. One of the problems in this video is that he did actually say that his Blood Warp was too, excuse me, his Blood Warp cooldown was way too high in this video, and that was one of the reasons why he was playing as slowly as he was. So I think he even understood that for actually doing a speed map, he went a little too far into Blood Golem and not into Blood Warp. But it's kind of one of those things when your character isn't optimal, it's kind of hard to find the right point for it. Now, as you can see, Corpse Explosion, although it is terrible at killing a boss, it has those revives, and revives are just going to eat the boss for breakfast and lunch and dinner and a snack, and they will destroy him. And Uduars are by far the best. There are probably some min-max of like getting Uduars and Frenzy Lords for actually killing a boss quicker, because the Frenzy Lord DPS will start to pick up once the boss's health, you know, is a little bit below that old 66% cutoff point for Crushing Blow. Even though it still procs, the damage gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's the map. The one thing I'd say is he probably could have used Amplify Damage on the boss. And besides that, I think it was a very good clear. He's not going to show the Merc gear, so I'll say that real quickly. Emilio, Infinity, Flickering Flame, and then Random gear. Nothing special to show on the other gear slots. It's still pretty early on in the season, and his gear is pretty good for what it is. So then, of course, he's showing the build, and his Blood Warp is like way too low. What is that? That's 8. So that's like 1.6 seconds, I think. D-Web, actually a really good D-Web. I know it rolled one socket, but the reason why this D-Web is so good is because it had the FCR and Fire Mastery Corruption. And that actually makes it like probably better than getting 2 sockets, specifically for a build that needs 125 FCR, like Corpse Explosion. You know, Poison can get away with lower, although it is annoying. Really good Atmas, a Mess Circlet, but at this point in the ladder, getting a Mess Circlet is good. The Amulet's actually really good, but it's a little bit misleading because Dexterity is basically a dead stat. So the map had minus block, and that actually makes him play quicker because he has extra dex than he would want, and so he probably blocks more often than he needs to. Stone of Jordan with resistance, I'm not sure what you would actually get on that corruption since he doesn't need the FCR. Since he's using Atmas, I'm not sure what you're going to do with actually your extra corruptions. Probably the best corruption on a ring would be, maybe it would just be all res actually. Pretty good skillers, Fire Mastery Charms, and he is improving this build. Obviously, we're going to get a better clear soon. And besides that, I think it was a pretty good start to the season. And as you guys can see, if you want to run tier 3s, basically make a Necromancer. Okay, guys? Poison Nova, Dark Pact, Corpse Explosion, and guess what? Summoner's not that much slower when you make them right. Skeleton King out. GG.
Come and play with us, Daddy.